Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jerry.
Look, I'm so sick and tired of hearing how great Gears of War 3 beta is that, well, oh, hell, who am I kidding? Look, we're going to have a Gears of War 3 beta contest. Did you know this?
I did know it. It's actually pretty cool. We got some good prizes, too.
That's a fact. We're going to give away 1,600 Microsoft points. And thanks to VVVJC, who was at Epic, we're actually going to have Gears of War 2 autographed posters by the Gears development team. That's cool stuff. You can't buy that anywhere. I would argue that that's the kind of stuff that you save, and one day will be something really cool to have on eBay. So to all of you out there, go to our forums. We have a Gears of War 3 beta video contest. We're going to give away a poster, 1,600 Microsoft points, and whoever the two top placements are, we're going to look for one of you to be VV Gaming's official video editor. So if you want to work with us and also get discounts on software, hardware, perks that will allow you to work with the professional video editors that I know here in Chicago, check out a Gears of War 3 beta video contest. Record your footage, get it edited, submit it. I look forward to seeing it. And with that being said, Jason, let's start the losers bracket.
Round 63 of the Losers Bracket podcast, and lots of news coming out in the gaming world this week in regards to the big title, the beta that just came out this week for Gears of War 3. Community has been a buzz. Lots of talk on Twitter, lots of opinions. Looking forward to hearing my co-hosts. Lots of great games coming out this week. Portal, Mortal Kombat, we'll get to those later on. But Gears of War 3, the beta, wow. What do you guys think?
Well, let's start with what I think is the most important thing, and that is from the VIP beta into the Bulletstorm Epic Edition beta, we've had, from my opinion, nothing but some really good feedback. The game looks more polished. The shotgun, I would say, is about the best shotgun that the Gears of War series has ever had. I don't think anyone is going to argue about that. There is one weapon in there, the sawed-off shotgun, that I think we'll never see in competitive play. For those of you wondering what the sawed-off is, it's kind of like this mini cannon, basically a one-shot wonder device. It allows really bad, I think, online people to at least get kills and be part of a team and enjoy themselves. So that's what I see there. So definitely the Gnasher, if you are a shotgunner, I can't imagine you not liking the Gnasher in the Gears of War 3 beta. I keep my fingers crossed that Epic does as little as possible to tweak it because I think it's really good. We're also seeing new maps and new weapons. The Digger comes to mind. Incendiary grenades come to mind. Inks are slightly different. Kind of got the Gears of War Boltok back. For those that are fans of the Boltok, it's kind of closer to Gears of War 1, I'd say. And now the Gorgon pistol is kind of like an automatic mini machine pistol. Ryan, what have you heard as far as, you've played with a lot of different people from the Gears of War community. What are you hearing?
From what I'm hearing is a lot of pros so far have said, it's going to be normal start, Lancer and Shotgun. That's pretty much all they really want. Some people I've heard trying to get the hammer burst fixed so they could use that because they like being able to shoot it like at a different pace than the Lancer. Personally, I do like the Lancer with it's a larger clip. I've downed 2 people with 1 clip and killed them both, so that's a good play for me. I know a lot of people want the Digger in the game. The boom shot is not totally overpowered. It's pretty decent. The torque bow is obviously the same pretty much thing. And the long shot, it seems easier to use. The incendiary grenades, I don't know if anyone really wants to play with them. The inks, I'm not even so sure if people want to play with those just because the initial stun when you throw them. People like the stuns where you can still move around when you're cringed. And pretty much that's really all I've heard so far.
Well, I also know, Jason, you picked up the Gears of War beta, and what are your overall impressions?
Well, first things first, let me preface this by saying I've never really been a Gears pro. This is my first real experience getting very in-depth into a Gears game because, frankly, the last two, and I know this is going to sound like blasphemy to a lot of people out there, never really, entrenched me into the gameplay. This game, though, it's grabbed a hold of me, to say the least. I got the chance to play the original 4 maps. They've cut it down to 2 right now for at least week 1 of the beta. For people that have bought Bulletstorm that got codes that way. But the 4 maps that they had on there, very intriguing. I liked the way they played. I liked the spawns for the power weapons, things of that nature. Those 4 maps, in case you didn't know, check out Old Town Thrashball and Trenches. Good stuff. I can see a couple of tweaks being made in the retail, but for someone myself who is a casual shooting game player, third person, first person, I'm saying that this is going to be a game that people are going to want to pick up, even if it's just to play online. It's polished. For a beta, that's very impressive. I like it.
Okay. And what about you, Relent? I mean, as a Call of Duty player, I know you've had some experience before with Gears of War. So, you play a great many video games. So what are your thoughts?
I really, really like the hammer burst. It may be a little bit too powerful right now. They weaken a little bit, but I really like the accuracy it gives you over the Lancer. It could build a nice balance if that's how they tweak it out. I like the new stun as well. I feel that it works really well. You can still move around, and it's not really overpowering. I like the inks with the stun and the way the inks work right now. They're really more effective than they were in Gears of War 2. The incinerators, they're nice, but they don't seem to do enough damage unless you use them like a sticky grenade from Halo. One of the things that I'm not really sure if I'm a big fan of is the jump over the wall melee. It seems like it just gives too much of a easiness to do a 2-piece. But some people like it. I'm not really that big of a fan of it. But overall, I like the maps. I like how they feel. And the hit detection works really well. Good job with the servers.
Yeah, I think overall, a lot of people have asked me to play a lot more, but to be honest, I didn't have the VIP code. I got to play the Thrashball Court, and I got to play Checkout. Both maps seem solid. I prefer Checkout over Thrashball Court, but the Center No Man Land and Thrashball Court is kind of interesting. I'm not a fan of some. I know that we talked offline, Jason. You're a fan of the sort of scoreboard falling in the middle, is that right?
I think that's interesting. It adds a little bit of strategy, especially since one of the power weapons spawns underneath it. That way, if you run for that, if someone notices, they can crush you. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think as a general rule, I'm not a fan of environmental hazards in competitive play, but I don't think it's that serious of an environmental hazard. It happens once, and it's not that big of a deal. So I don't think that should prevent the map from getting a close look at competitive play. Now, when it comes to the VIP beta, Ryan, you played 2 extra maps in the VIP beta. One was Old Town, and what was the other one?
Trenches.
Trenches, that's right. Talk to us a little bit about those 2 maps and what you liked and how you felt about them.
Well, I'll go ahead and start off the one I don't like, which is Trenches. There's only really one power weapon in the first round, and that's the Digger, and it's in the middle of like a huge clusterfuck battle. The overall map symmetry could work, I guess, in a competitive stance if you change like the spawns of weapons and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna go and talk about the map as it is right now. There's a mortar and a mulcher that spawn up top on this like platform thing. No, just a mortar up top on the platform thing. Excuse me. And the mulcher spawns up in this like bunker type on top of a hill, where people have to rush you to try and like kill you, or they can nade you out from the 2 nade like bunkers in the sides of that hill. Now, on the second round of this map, we finally get to see the gun, the one shot, which is retarded in my opinion. You really can't. You can use it. It's like a sniper. It one shot kills anyone on one hit. It takes time to charge. It's like a huge mulcher you're carrying around, and you have to get on cover to use it. Or you can, plop down like the mulcher and just try and charge it up that way. But you're going to get smoked if you try and use this gun, because you have to, when you use it, it scopes in way too far. The only other thing I don't like about Trenches, you'll hear this like huge like foghorn, and it sounds like a huge like battleship coming in, and all it is telling you that like sand's coming. I don't like any environment that makes you not be able to like see anything at all. But I do have a tip for you if you are playing this map. If the sand does come, hit LB on your screen, which like brings up like where you can see the weapon spawns and your teammates and stuff. You'll be able to see the outlines of the enemy players and like the layout of the map. So just if you see yourself in that position, go ahead and hit LB, and it'll save your life.
Yeah, that's a good advice just for those who don't know. Using that left bumper, go ahead and get the outline so you don't actually lose kind of the tactical understanding of what's going on in the battlefield. Now, Jason, even though you're not a Gears player, you had access to the VIP as well. What are your thoughts on these maps?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Ryan about trenches. The sandstorm, really interesting. It leads to a lot of clusterfucks in battle from what I've seen. If you're in the middle of a fight, the sand comes in, you can't see anything. Not the biggest fan of that. But what I am a fan of is the other map that was included in that 4-pack that was there, which was Old Town. I really liked this map. I loved the way it was set up. I loved the spawn locations, where the placement of the power weapons were, where the digger/boom shot spawns on the side of the map. That's really cool, where you get this little like firefight going between the high ground and the low ground from where the different spawns are. It's neat. I could see this probably being my favorite map of the 4 from what I've played. I'll need a little bit more time with it. Hopefully we get that in the coming weeks in the beta. But of the maps that I've played, I love it. I'm looking forward to playing on it more. Seems like it's going to be a really good fit for the game.
Well, the best thing about Old Town is that not only is the boom shot and the digger spawn on one side of the map, on the completely opposite side of the map is the sniper or the torque bow, depending on the round, and then also nades in the middle. So you really have to like plan out who's going to go where, what kind of like strategy you're going to develop. It really brings a lot more mental part of the game into play, and that's one thing I really like about Old Town. Other than that, though, it is a little bit big.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people over the next couple of weeks are going to give their comments about maps and what they speculate. And, just to be sort of patient here, until the final release copy is in my hands, a lot of this talk is purely speculative. But for a beta, I think it's highly polished. There's no surprise to me that, Gears was originally scheduled for an earlier release. It clearly feels ready. I think it's now a double-edged sword. In one way, they could mess it up because we have about 5 months before the game gets released. I'm hoping they don't over-tweak it or overthink it because there's a lot of things that are really positive. And hopefully, customization stays in the game so we can decide, obviously, which weapons we want people to start with and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, right now you get to choose what weapons you want to start with, but it would really be nice to be able to host some rooms and, force those things. So we'll see. Again, it's not necessary, but, I think everyone's going to agree that the sawed-off shotgun has no place in competitive play. I'm not a fan of the guns with stopping power. When I think about the old-time Lancer, I think those things slow the game down. Speed, to me, is what makes a game spectator-friendly. So keep it fast, keep it furious. That's my advice. But with the central component of the game, the shotgun being the way it is, if there was ever a game that has the best elements for competitive play, I think this is the one.
Now, I know Relent had touched on this quite briefly earlier, but there is another big change that has come into effect from, say, Gears 1, Gears 2 in this game, and I wanted to briefly touch on it real quick. And that's when you are mantling over, jumping over some cover, you can actually kick someone that's on the other side of the cover. That makes them stumble back. If you have your shotgun out, it actually leads to a pretty easy kill. What do you guys think about this? Is that an interesting change for this game? I mean, it's something that almost makes you think twice about hopping into cover. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it could be a positive and a negative. It helps promote like pushing because you can run up, jump over the cover, kick them, and get an easy two-piece. But at the same time, it feels like it happens too fast to really counter it. So there's got to be some type of little middle that they can make to tweak it out a little bit, so it doesn't feel like you push too hard and you can get an easy kill, but also it doesn't feel like you push and then get punished for it.
Honestly, the mantle kick, I mean, I've heard both sides of like liking it, disliking. I'm kind of towards the liking it because while it provides people to push, like make like a different play than they normally would, but at the same time it can hinder you because you jump over the cover. All he has to do is back up while you do it, like pretty much predict that you're going to do it, and you're screwed. It'll lead to different like thought processes of players in a certain position. It won't lead to this like little cover battle that everyone's just like blind firing over, hoping he like hard aims like over the bag to try and kill him. It's definitely a good change in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, you have to look at it in the context of the game. In many ways, the melee has been greatly diminished, which I think is really important because you really didn't want somebody to run up next to someone and two-piece them. And now what happens is you diminish the melee, but if they are going to play the cover game and you are in a 1v1 situation, you definitely have something in your tool that will make a person think twice about just sitting in cover. So, I mean, I kind of agree with Ryan on this. I'm a little bit leaning toward the like side. But, I think we really, again, it's too early to say for sure. Players are going to develop techniques and tactics the more they're playing with it. And, I think we just have to give it time.
And there's also a couple other changes that I've just recently noticed in the Gears beta. Well, one of them I just didn't recently notice. I knew that was coming. Was the how many directions you can roll. I've literally gotten dizzy just from playing this game sometimes. And the other one I want to talk about is when you're roadie running, you can actually switch between weapons as you're roadie running without having to come out of the roadie run. That's something that I think that can really change how you play the game as well, too.
Yeah, I want to agree with you again on the rolling, too. I think it's really critical to get away from inks and incendiaries. It's a great way to literally roll around someone, especially if you're in a shotgun battle. All of these movement tools make the game better, make it faster, require aim to be more consistent and patient, have a sense of timing, second-guessing your opponent when you're in those close combat situations. I mean, there's a lot of positive things here. So I think without gushing about it too much, I imagine that we're going to hear, three things over and over from people. They really are happy with the shotgun. They are really satisfied with the new map so far, and that the actual gameplay is faster. And there's a lot more going on, meaning that, with the weapon variety in combination with your ability to get up and use your shotgun, everyone feels like they can really do more here. These maps, what I really like is I'm not going to see, in my opinion, these really slow setups that bog down Gears of War 2, where people could just kind of set up, crossfire, Lancer, and you just kind of be stuck with the long, drawn-out maps. Here I see it working a lot better. And I think we should talk about one more thing, and that is Team Deathmatch, the game mode. Because for me, I'm personally a fan. I like a team having X amount of respawns, and every time the team goes down, it drains their total respawn. So for those of you that don't know, each team gets 15 spawns. You spawn, you have 15 in reserve. One player can take all 15. Each player can take 3 with a couple left over. So if you have a weak link on your team or someone who is reckless and dies a lot, it definitely can hurt the team. So I'm a fan. What do you guys think?
I like it. The only thing I'm a little worried about is on a few maps that I played on Flashball, it was a little bit too easy to spawn trap people. That was one of my main concerns with it, because they spawn literally in either or the two little locker rooms, I guess I should say, but they're really small. So it's really easy to sit there and have a team get up if you get 3 or 4 down real easily.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Relent on this. I love the mode. Really do. It's a really neat idea. Each team having a set amount of spawns. And then, hey, once those 15's over, if you die again, you're out. That's it. Game over. But the spawns on some maps can really hurt this, too. Because, what Relent was saying, I was playing on Checkout. And I'd spawn, and there'd be someone running right at me. And, of course, that's going to be fixed by the time retail comes about. But as for the actual mode itself, really like it. It adds a little bit more strategy because, hey, if one push does go bad, you still do have lives in reserve. it kind of makes it so it opens up more possibilities. I'm a fan.
The only thing I'm going to add is, that I enjoy it. It's good, and it brings hope to changing between each round. Like you play a TDM and then an execution, and then maybe possibly even playing a King of a Hill in there for competitive settings. All it really does is bring hope to the Gears kids and the Gears community that this game could possibly become a competitive game with this addition to TDM.
So let's recap, because I know we could probably spend a long time on Gears. Overall, very positive. If you have access to the beta, play it. You're going to find a very smooth, polished beta, good maps, great shotgun, a lot of options. We'll have plenty to discuss and tweak when the final release comes out. Overall, my vote, best Gears award to date. If sponsors and the environment is good for Major League Gaming to add another game, and nothing gets messed up between now and release, they don't over-tweak it or make some change to take away what's going really good here, this would make a great title for Major League Gaming. Your guys' thoughts?
I agree. I think it's fun to watch, especially with all the crazy executions that can go on. And it's good gameplay. It's really fast-paced now. It's really team-oriented. So I think it's a good fit for MLG.
Yep, definitely. In my opinion, it's spectator-friendly. I've always preferred third-person shooters to first-person shooters for spectator-based games. I really enjoy, like Relent said, executions that can... I could see crowds going crazy over that if it's the last kill and you see someone punching someone in the face 20 times before their head explodes. The crowd's going to explode on that as well. I'd love to see this at MLG next year.
Oh, what I'd love to see is when they take the fucking pistol whip him and just beat him like a stuck pig, beat him like that fat. I really shouldn't talk. I think I'll stop right there. All right, everybody, Gears of War beta, get it. It's well worth it.
It's a pretty huge week we've got right now for gaming in general. Aside from the Gears of War 3 beta, we also had quite a few big titles come out this week. Portal 2 released, Valve. We have SOCOM 4 on the PlayStation 3, Mortal Kombat. Pretty big. Guys, did you pick any of these titles up this week?
I got a SOCOM 4, Portal 2, and I played a lot of Mortal Kombat at the release. I didn't pick it up, though.
Well, I don't want to admit this, but I got the SOCOM 4, what was called full deployment, and it included the Sony Move, the Sony Navigation Motion Controller, and the actual PlayStation gun controller that comes with it. So I fully deployed getting a PlayStation 3, getting SOCOM, getting Portal 2. I got a bunch of other games too. But before we get to my PlayStation 3, Relent, give us your impressions on SOCOM 4.
SOCOM 4, just like the old SOCOM 2 was, it feels really competitive. Some of the maps and stuff are really big. I haven't got a chance to play a little bit of the smaller, more arena style, but they're in there. I could see, good 4v4 games in both classic and standard, which they call now for respawn modes. They have a lot of different game types. The guns feel good. The hit detection works, and it really feels polished. It feels kind of more like an updated SOCOM 2, if I could say that.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of top gamers who came from the SOCOM series, and comparing it to SOCOM 2 is going to be music to a lot of their ears. I'm going to be honest, though. I think right now, at least on the PlayStation 3, I think we should caution how we talk about this. For those of you that may not know, there is a hacking group known as Anonymous, and one of their hackers was pursued by the Sony Corporation. And in an effort to go after Sony, Anonymous, which again is a hacking organization, and I just want to be clear that when I'm talking about Anonymous, I'm talking about professional hackers. These are people who, go after big websites. They definitely have a code of conduct. They're a very interesting group. Give you guys a little bit of background. There was a situation, as I said, where once Sony sort of chased after one of their members, I think his name was GeoHot, if I remember correctly, they decided to sort of retaliate. And so that has meant a lot of problems for the PlayStation Network overall. A lot of denial of service attacks, people having great difficulty logging into their PlayStation accounts, stuff like that. So when I play SOCOM, my concern is that I'm having trouble connecting to a lot of games, and it's slow, and I think that it's causing a lot of problems. So if you do get SOCOM 4, just understand that it's not the best time for Sony because of Anonymous kind of going after them. You having that same problem, Roland?
I've had a few problems finding games and signing on and signing off, but as far as the actual servers go, they run smoothly. It's just actually getting that, connecting. The store, I know they had problems with the store, but the store's been fixed now, so they're definitely working on it as we speak.
All right, and what about Portal 2? You haven't had a chance to play it yet, right, Roland?
Nah, I haven't gotten a chance to play that much of it. I've seen a lot of gameplay on it, and it looks hilarious. It looks fun. I can't wait to try out the co-op. That should be a great time.
Oh yeah, if it's anything like the first game was, it's going to be a blast. I'll actually be picking it up very shortly myself. I'm holding off right now because I know as soon as I get it, I'm going to have to play through it in one sitting just because that's how it was with the first game. I couldn't put it down, and I'm a little scared about that because I know I already am short on time, but man, I'm excited. If it's the same sort of black comedy, I'll be thrilled.
Well, I'm not going to ruin anything for anybody here, but I've gotten through the first 6 chapters of the game. It's about 4 times longer than the other game. So anybody who says to you that you can finish it in 4 hours, I disagree. It moves really kind of quick in the beginning. And going in the first 6 chapters, time flies by. The writing is incredible. I'll tell you that right now. I think the writing in Portal 2, some of the lines I will be quoting and using, they're kind of like those great movie lines that are just really, really good. I'm not going to say anything else about Portal 2. If you liked the first Portal and you like the puzzle solving and you like that kind of humor, like Jason just said, get the game. Now, I have noticed that critics loved it and the community split on it. And I want to address why I believe that is that way. I think a lot of people have that really bad habit of saying they played games that are older, but they never really played. And I think a lot of people say they played Portal, but they never really picked it up, or maybe they never even finished it. And then when they got Portal 2, they kind of heard all this hype about it. Maybe it was something they got with the Orange Box and Team Fortress and stuff like that. And also, the first Portal was a lot more shorter puzzles condensed. This is a little bit more spread out. There's more going on. There's a little bit more story going on. So do I think that it's a bad game? No, but if you have not played Portal, I recommend you play Portal before you play Portal 2 to make sure you like this kind of action puzzle game. That's my thoughts on it. But for me, loved it. Also, Jason, you mentioned co-op. Co-op and the story are 2 completely different games, just so you know. So I highly recommend that if you want to kind of get the story, play the single player first, and then you can go to co-op. And so everybody knows co-op is cross-platform. So someone on a PC can play with someone on a PlayStation 3, which I think is really cool. So you'll be able to get a friend of yours who maybe have purchased it for the computer. The other nice part is if you purchase it on the PS3, you will get a code for Valve to also have you get it on the computer. So you're basically buying both versions of the game if you got it on the PS3. So all in all, Portal 2, I think it's worth it. If you're a Portal fan, the humor itself is well worth it. Some great lines.
That is awesome news to hear. Unfortunately, though, you just sealed my fate, and after recording this, I will be picking up a copy immediately. I am not getting sleep tonight. Thanks, Jerry.
You know what? We all have to game sometime. You know, when I picked up PlayStation 3, I finally played Batman Arkham Asylum. Great game. Amazing work they did with it. There are things about the PlayStation 3 I really like. I love the fact that it's Bluetooth compatible. I can take my Jawbone which I use for a cell phone. Use it with my PlayStation 3 because I'm the kind of guy who I listen to things out of my speakers, throw the Jawbone in my ear. It's like talking on the cell phone. That to me is a huge improvement over the Xbox. It's, to me, in my mind, really easy to use. I think it's got a slightly different feel in the triggers for a first-person shooter. So I know for myself, I prefer the Xbox triggers for a first-person shooter. But the more that I start to experiment in SOCOM and Killzone with this gun, as corny as that sounds, it's just something that, I have to start thinking about, because I think all of us know that with the, motion controllers, with Kinect, gaming is evolving. And I think it will continue to evolve. And we'll see how we interface in the future with technology, especially when we're gaming. So we'll see. But for me, PlayStation 3 overall, definitely, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I think it'd be really funny to watch people play SOCOM at events using the sharpshooter for SOCOM 4.
Funny in the way that, oh, look at the nerds shooting at the TV, that kind of funny?
Yeah, kind of like the old Deck Hunter days where you, shot at the TV. I think that'd be pretty funny to watch.
Yeah, well, I don't know if everybody's going to be a big fan of that. Although, you're right, it would be kind of funny. But I don't want to knock it until I get a chance to really play with it. I mean, I'm really going to be interested to see how all this works, because, again, I am very much, mouse and keyboard and, controller kind of guy. So I've been very late and hesitant to get into the motion controller stuff. But I figure, it doesn't hurt to experiment and see where technology is going. And that's what I've been doing. And so far, like I said, PS3, I'm a fan.
I want to throw just a small note in here, side note. Since we're talking about controllers and the future, things like that, if you haven't heard, there is the big rumor going around right now about the Wii 2, which is going to be announced in June at E3. And apparently the big rumor with the controller is that it has a screen built onto the controller that you'll actually be able to stream games from the console, from the TV screen to your controller. It's almost like a mini iPad built into the controller. Talk about an interesting innovation. That would really change the way we play games, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see. And as Jerry said, get our hands on it before we'll be able to make any sort of conclusions with this product. But yet again, remember, this is just rumor. We'll find out more information on this in the coming months, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you've been on the VV Gaming site in the past couple of days, you might have seen there's been a Chop Chop list recently. And if you don't know what a Chop Chop list is, it's basically we go through the list, we look at what kind of value our community members are adding to VV Gaming, and those that aren't making the cut get cut. They are given the boot, whatever you want to call it. But aside from that, there looks to be, from what I've seen, Mr. Jerry, a cap of 150 people in VV Gaming at any one in particular time added to our roster. Can you tell me a little bit about that, Jerry? What's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, to sort of give everybody a little bit of backdrop, there are two professors who really have inspired me. One is at Harvard. He's both a medical doctor and a PhD. His name is Nick Christakis. And another guy is at the University of California in San Diego, Jim Fowler. He's at UC San Diego. And they wrote a book called Connected, How Your Friends Affect Everything You Feel, Think, and Do. And it is a book about social media, our connectedness, and stuff like this. And I don't want to get too academic, but for those of you who are listening to the podcast show, hear my voice right now, I want to share a couple of things with you that really have affected, helped me understand why we're so successful in VV Gaming, but also how we can tweak it. So a few things to tell you. The best number of people for a conversation is 4. 4 people make for the best conversations, a lot of information flowing, stuff like that. The most number of people we can socially manage in our life is 150. So if you notice there, that's where my 150 has come from. The ability for us to really know everybody in our community is not going to be able to go much past 150. And we are in many ways like a family, even though we get, over 35,000 people that visit our website. the people that are actually in VVV gaming number right now about 147 after our most recent cuts. We're going to try to keep it there. And we're also going to try to do a large focus on Twitter and Facebook. So many people tell me, Lord Jareth, why do we have to have Twitter? Why do we have to have Facebook? And the other half say, I love Facebook, I love Twitter. If you are not using Facebook and Twitter, you are going to be at a disadvantage in your life professionally, education-wise, and with your ability to learn socially. Twitter is a great source of information. If you are cynical or slow to adopt technology, it's like not having a very important tool for learning. There's formal learning, which is the kind of learning that happens in a classroom, and then there's social learning, the kind that happens when you're interacting with people, whether it's on Facebook or it's on a website or it's in a shout box, where you're sharing information. That's called social learning. It's not driven by any strict standard or curriculum, but it's something you're doing because you're passionate or you want to know something. A lot of social learning happens on Twitter and on Facebook. So we want to make sure that we maximize the benefit of social media to our membership by requiring it. We are going to force the horse, so to speak, to water and make it drink. This is because we want an engaged and social community, and to be honest, we already have one, but I just want to be more public. I want to share with everyone what we do so well. I also want to share this because we've gotten a lot of applications recently from people wanting sponsorship from VV Gaming. It often seems that one person from the team will post on our forums that they want a sponsorship, and I think the idea that players have is that because they're good or they placed in top 8 or top 12, that all they have to do is wear a shirt and we're going to pay for their hotel or their flight. It's never going to work that way. You're never going to get a dime from VV Gaming unless you are on social media, you understand how to market and promote, and if you don't, we'll gladly coach you and guide you, but don't expect us to give you any kind of monetary compensation if you are not able to market an organization. And for most players, they don't have that experience, and they're really not interested in doing that. So, a lot of our sponsorship requests are going to get closed. But if you are an applicant to VVV, if you are someone who wants to be sponsored by VV Gaming, you have to be on social media. You have to be on Facebook. You have to be on Twitter. If you're not, you're just not much interest to us. You don't have the ability to market VVV Gaming to the greater globe. Social media is your outlet to the world. You can talk to anyone on Twitter. You can talk to anyone on Facebook. I don't want you to market VVV Gaming to the people who already know we exist. That's not interesting. I mean, what if we picked up Final Boss or Straight Rippin' and said, they're with VV now. That's not going to drive any more traffic to our site or keep anybody more interested in VV Gaming. They need real people who they can connect with, who can relate to them, that are engaged in social media and will talk to people face to face. So I just want to save, both my staff and a lot of people a lot of heartache and trouble. If you don't use Facebook or Twitter, you're not going to get into VV Gaming. You're not going to get sponsored by VV Gaming. If you don't believe Facebook and Twitter is important, in our forums in the community section, there's a pinned topic called Why Twitter Matters, written by a pretty famous journalist who goes into some detail about why Twitter is important. And I could talk about an entire social revolution that has been occurring in the Middle East for anybody who's been paying attention to the news. Tunisia overthrew its dictator. Egypt overthrew Mubarak after all those years. All of those revolutions were organized and done on Facebook and Twitter. So without beating a dead horse, which I'd rather lead to water and make drink, but without saying too much about this, if Arab nations can get their young people to band together, communicate, to start revolutions, I mean, if you're not using Twitter and Facebook, again, you are missing out. I hate to say it, it's almost like you don't count. You might as well live in a cabin somewhere in the middle of nowhere because you're just not relevant to the way the modern world is working. So I just wanted to take this out there to all of you and make it very, very clear. We're going to try to keep our membership around 150. It doesn't mean that it's a hard cap. It's a soft cap. We may go more. If you're a member of EV Gaming, we're going to be looking at your Twitter and your Facebook pretty much on a weekly basis to see how you're using it. And if you don't keep up with it, we're not interested.
everyone get to see the pretty cool entries into the Gamer Grub slogan contest from last week?
Oh boy, did
Yeah.
I. First one to enter and everything. I
Yeah.
better win.
Oh, Jesus. You're not good, Relent. But no, really, we had a lot of good entries into this contest. So many good entries that Keith, the founder of Gamer Grub, and I actually couldn't decide on just one winner. Can you believe that?
Actually, you guys are such fussy bitches that I have no doubt that, it was one of those where you kept deciding between one or two. So go ahead. What did you decide?
Well, no, we actually decided something really cool because originally we were going to give away 2 cases of Gamer Grub. So what we've decided is such. Instead of giving 2 cases to one person, since we couldn't decide between 2 of the phrases, we're going to cut those cases in half, give half a case of PB&J and half a case of pizza to one person, and then the rest to the other as well. So I'd like to congratulate the winners. And first things first, let me tell you their slogans that they came up with. Because honestly, they're pretty good. Are you guys ready for these?
Oh yeah, let's bring it.
Yeah.
Lay it on me. Let's hear them.
All right. The first winner is actually one of our own from VVV, VVVSI28, and his slogan was OMG, Optimum Munching Goodness.
Oh my God. And that pun is intended. OMG, optimum munching goodness. Oh, I have to admit I like it. I like it. It's really good. It's culturally relevant. Okay, what's the next one?
The other winner, his name is Nicholas Pace, and his slogan actually wraps up the entire Gamer Grub product promise into about 4 words. It's very simple. You ready for this? No sticky, better clicky.
Wow.
That's good. I like that.
That sounds like something that... Anyway, never mind.
Anyway, yeah, well, we're not gonna go there. We're not.
Yeah, I think we don't want to talk about sticky clickies. So, but, well, you're right, though. To give it credit, I really do believe that is one of the promises and one of the advantages to the Gamer Grub product is that it's the kind of product that, unlike Cheetos, which for those who've ever eaten Cheetos, once you touch Cheetos, anything else you touch is definitely going to get stained. Gamer Grub is designed to be easy to eat and not necessarily mess up everything around you. So, I mean, I think you're right. I think that's really a very apt name for the product.
Yep, definitely. Yet again, congratulations to both Alec Castillo, which is also, of course, VVVSI28, the world champion Guitar Hero player in World Cyber Games, and the other winner of the contest, Nicholas Pace. No sticky, better clicky. God, that's so catchy. I got to give him props for that. Kudos to the both of you. You both have a case of Gamer Grub on your way. All we'll need is your information. I'll be contacting you both shortly, and we'll get those out to you ASAP.
Just because I'm a grammar Nazi, on the way. Not on your way, but on the way.
Blah, 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 blah. But you know what else you cannot be a Nazi about is time, because it has come to the end of the loser's bracket. That didn't make any sense. But you know what? We're going to stick with it. It's the end of the loser's bracket. And we got to give a...
No clicky, no sticky. No sticky, no clicky.
You know, it's not as bad as you talking about sticky clickies.
Not it.
Not it.
Look, it's time for the show to end. You know this.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, let's give a big shout out to our sponsors. That would be SteelSeries, Control Freak, MusicSkins.com, GamerLogos.net, and of course the one and only Custom Ink. Big shout out to the band Power Glove. Now, I got to tell you guys, if you get the chance, go see them. Their tour is starting this week with Symphony X and Blackguard. They're touring the United States right now. So go check them out. Amazing band. You do not want to miss them live. All right? They provide us amazing music. You should go support them for the fact that they have given us this amazing tune. Pretty cool stuff. Big shout out to the VV Gaming community for your feedback and consistent support. We give big hearts to you guys in your general direction. You're awesome. Be sure to stop by our podcast homepage. The website, of course, is vvvgaming.podbean.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes, search for VVV Gaming there, and that way you can follow both of our shows, Directional Influence, which of course covers Smash Brothers, fighting games, things of that nature, and this show that you are listening to right now, The Losers Bracket. You can email us any sort of feedback that you might have for us. That email address that you can reach us at is thelosersbracket@vvv-gaming.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. The name there is simply Losers Bracket.
All right, everybody. Gears of War beta. Play it. Want to hear more feedback next week, especially as more people get access to it. Otherwise, you'll see me on the PlayStation 3 this weekend. Have a good one, everyone.